Texans here, George. Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right, but I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who could move, right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown, right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable, right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But I do have hope for him. I think at season's end he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson's going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, that hit. Remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people that bust them, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. The Twisted Tuesday has begun, and we're less than 48 hours away from the start of the college football semifinals. We're down to the final four big-time brand-name programs left standing. Notre Dame and Penn State will be up first on Thursday. Texas and Ohio State on Friday. Although there are weather issues, go figure, right? There's actually, weather won't be a factor playing in Dallas. There's all kinds of weather issues in Dallas right now. The football game is going to be played, but roads are closed. It's super cold, and they've got issues. So seems like the college football playoffs have just sort of had a weird thing around them, right? It's like, well, yeah, they're going to play, but it just should be noted that there's really bad weather in the area right now. There's a big Arctic blast going on, but it doesn't really affect the NFL games all that much. It seems to be in non-NFL cities for the most part. So we got a lot of football talk on the program tonight. Rick Saratella steps up and in. Rick is actually in Orlando at the Hula Bowl. The Hula Bowl, one of the NFL draft prep college, all-star games. Brady Cook, quarterback of the Missouri Tigers, is there. Will Rogers from Washington is there. It's not like the star players, but, it's dudes. It's a bunch of these all-star games coming up. And Rick, of course, pounds the pavement and attends them all. So Rick Saratella joins us from Orlando. A lot of stuff going on in the National Football League. AP is out in the LV in Las Vegas. I'm surprised that people are surprised. This is one thing that, we're on record. And, we got to start saving these things better than we do. But we were on record saying before, they're going to fire Pierce. They're going to hire Mike Vrabel. I know everybody thinks there's some sort of stone cold Steve Austin lock that Vrabel's going to end up coaching the New England Patriots. But it's going to be pretty wild that Tom Brady's an owner right now. And Tom Brady's not just one of these token owners, right? Mark Davis is a lot of things. Mark Davis wants to win. Right, the Raiders are an inept, useless, just whatever. They're a very frustrating organization. They have a diehard fan base. You play in you know what I mean? You got everything. You're in Las Vegas. People love you. You got these diehard fans of your team, even though you've blown forever. This whole commitment to excellence thing has been it's been lip service for a long time now. So if there's one thing that Davis knows is that he doesn't have smart people around him. So like Tom Brady's not just like a token owner. Tom Brady's going to be making decisions here. Or like he's going to have a massive influence on this. So, Brady's buddies with Vrabel and Kraft, do get along as well. It's interesting. The Patriots is actually a job that people do like because they got Drake May. Right, if you're a coach coming in, you want to know that you've got a quarterback at least, and or you're going to draft a quarterback, but that's a roll of the dice. So like Ben Johnson, the coordinator of the Detroit Lions, he's turned down a lot of jobs, right, and interviews and stuff because like no, this team sucks. Like Ben Johnson wouldn't coach the Saints, but word is he's interested in the Bears job because they got Caleb Williams. He's interested in the Patriots job because they've got Drake May. A lot of stuff to get to, but let's get to college basketball, actually. UCLA and Michigan, a Big Ten. Feels strange to say that, but it is. It's a Big Ten matchup, and we're off and running. They tipped off right off the top. We posted some thoughts and facts about this basketball game. So it just started. Michigan are up 6-2 right now early. In-game total is 143.5. That's what it closed at. Michigan closes 2.5-point underdogs in this game. They're both 11-3 basketball teams. All right, Michigan under Dusty May, they're rolling. Like it's even going quicker than people thought it was going to go. The rebuild here of the Michigan program. They're 11-3. They're 3-0 in Big Ten play. And the UCLA Bruins are 11-3, and they're doing the Mick Cronin defense thing. But it should be noted a couple of facts here. The Michigan Wolverines played USC over the weekend. They've been in Los Angeles like all weekend and for 4 or 5 days or whatnot. And in fact, they stayed at the same hotel. They're staying at the W in Beverly Hills. It's good. It's great to be a Michigan Wolverine. They're not staying at the Motel 6, the Wolverines or the Hampton Inn. The Wolverines are staying at the W in Beverly Hills. So they didn't change hotels. They played USC. Now they're playing UCLA. It's been pretty chill. They've been having fun practices, walking around in the sunshine. Meanwhile, UCLA, they're at home. UCLA played at Nebraska on Saturday. All right, so they're actually coming back from a road trip. And on top of this, classes are out. Students are not on campus at UCLA right now. For the record, a lot of campuses. So the students aren't there. We saw the other day when Michigan played against USC, there was a very, very vocal and heavy Michigan fan base. There's Michigan fans everywhere, and they're always jacked up when they, it's a new thing now. Michigan going to L.A. every year. They're going to be there playing football next year against USC as well. Michigan up 9-2 right now. We're on the Michigan Wolverines, plus the points. We got the 3 before it went to 2.5. And we bid on the over, even though UCLA are a great defensive team. We bid on the over 143 in this game. Man, Michigan now up 11-2. Blazing start for the Michigan Wolverines. We got some interesting college games going on right now. And in fact, the second half is off and running right now. BYU and Texas Tech, 37-34 for BYU, minus 1.5 total, 141.5. SMU and South Carolina are at the half. So we've got a lot of college basketball to track and break down and potentially bet on. Tonight, Marquette have come back on Georgetown right now, 69-64, under a minute remaining. The NBA, it's a typical NBA night, whatever. The Boston Celtics are 10.5-point favorites against the Denver Nuggets. They tipped off quicker than I thought they would tonight. There's no Jokic, so the number is massive. Is it too much? Murray is playing. Jokic is not. So Jokic is out, and the number was like 10.5. That's what it is in-game right now. The Nuggets are up 9-8, a couple of minutes into the game. In-game total is 230.5. And another one, too, the Miami Heat. Wild game last night with the Miami Heat and the Sacramento Kings, actually. We were on the Kings. They came back and won. If you jumped on our picks last night, it was a pretty wild ride. And we've had a lot of, close losses. I don't like the term bad beats, but we've had a lot of – because bad beats are bad bets. You lose, I don't believe in the saying it was the right side, but it lost. No. If it lost, it was not the right side. And all your stupid logic can try to, sanitize it all you want. But we have been, I think the best way of putting it, instead of bad beat, a day late and a dollar short, right? You know, half point here, bucket there, interception this, miss that. Like, there's been a lot of, like, just, you know, tough losses over the last week and a half, too. I think the buy sign, the turning point was last night. We had over 59 in the college football game. It got there really, really late. Remember we told you we took the Minnesota Golden Gophers plus 1.5. They went to, like, double overtime. They were down by, like, 8 at one point, and I was like, oh, of course they blew it. Somehow they came back and lost by 1. Last night, under in the hockey game, the Seattle Kraken plus 1.5. The empty netter did not happen. So luck was on our side last night, although we don't need any luck as far as the TGL is concerned. If you're looking for the best TGL golf capper in the world, you're looking at him right here. Nobody. I have a 1,000% winning percentage in the TGL. This is SportsRage.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena.
Dallas, if
this
you
is what we're
going to play him this week to break the record. I mean, you left him in that Dallas game forever.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I know people are getting after Cole Anthony. Folks, it was a bang-bang play. You know, you got to give Cole Anthony props for diving with a loose ball. Yeah, was it a little bit, like, reckless? Maybe. But at the end of the day, for people to go after Cole Anthony and think this is a dirty play, you don't know ball.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this, I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text, put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. What he texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, like, it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. The Twisted Tuesday has begun. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. Countdown to kickoff is on, less than 48 hours away from the college football playoffs. We'll be broadcasting live. We'll be on at 7:24 Eastern time, Thursday and Friday night, Sirius XM Channel 159, as well as SportsGrid On Demand on YouTube for the two semifinal games and the Monday night football playoff game, Vikings and Rams. TGL made its debut this evening, and it's currently going on right now. It's 6-0 for the Bay Golf Club over the New York team. And because of the name status and stuff, the New York team were actually the second choice to win the championship. They were right up there with LA. Boston's got Rory on their team, and the Bay Golf Club, the Bay Area Golf Club. These guys are more of an international vibe. They're rolling right now. It's 6-0. Now the odds makers were kind of helpless. They don't have an advantage in this, right? I mean, they don't know. You know what I mean? No one knows what the hell this was going to be like. So they just made it a pick 'em, -110, both sides. Pick a winner. I decided, we talked last night about liking this Bay Golf Club's roster and the international flair and their personalities, and then being plus 500 to win it all. I thought there was some good value. This New York team has been overwhelmed, Cam, and this is the thing. When you get new events like this, I said it last night. I said, you never know how some dudes are going to react to it. Tiger talked about it. Tiger's doing some of the analysis here during the broadcast tonight. And he brought it up point blank. He goes, a lot of guys aren't used to playing with noise. And they're playing music the whole time. The crowd is making noise the whole time. Like, it's not like, people don't get quiet when they shoot. It's sort of a vibe in the arena rolling along. And plus the surfaces are different. Although they are putting on Bermuda. You got real Bermuda grass here. But it was interesting because Ricky Fowler said that he spent a couple of days. He goes, I've been in here and, we've been trying to figure this place out and get used to it. And they have Shane Lowry mic'd up, and it was the first hole, and he had to chip. And they said, what's it like chipping on this surface? And Lowry said, I've never done it before. I never tried. This is my first time. So he put zero effort into this. And I was thinking, damn, he just sort of chipped it, went right to the hole. And I was thinking, man, this guy could chip like on a skating rink, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't care. It was just funny. Like Fowler said about how he was trying to figure out the surface, and he practiced here a couple of times. Lowry said, I've never played here before. I don't know. And he just took a shot.
That's amazing.
They're up 6-0 right now. So, yeah, I'm enjoying this because we've won. I don't think we're going to blow the 6-0 lead.
Well, I think it's 5 now, Gabe. I'm looking live, so I guess New York got 1 hole, but they're running out of holes. And here's the thing, too, that for people that don't know, watch a lot of European golf, and the Europeans have like tournaments where there's like sound going on, bands are playing in the background and stuff, and they just joke and laugh. It's very different in the United States, right? Other than the Waste Management, sometimes the Canadian Open, or like, a couple other tournaments where people get sauced. It's not that way. But European is specific tournaments where they have bands, loud noise, people in the background. So it's something I think they're a lot more used to. I don't know how that's going to affect the play, but that's kind of an angle, I guess. And Shane Lowry, that guy doesn't care. Good point by you. Shane Lowry, this guy just drinks Guinness and plays golf. He doesn't even care. So I think you got to take that type of approach, and it looks like it's working for them right now, the Euros.
Plus, I don't know, the Euros, like Lowry was into it. Lowry didn't like one of his drives. He actually got mad. Like, that's another thing. The New York team here, they seem to be rattled. like they seem to be a little bit rattled. Ricky Fowler is rattled right now. So we got the TGL rolling on, big time college basketball game. We got a stacked house on the program. McKinnis will join us like he does on Tuesday nights, but he'll step up and in at 10:40 right after the Shark and Vegas Golden Knight game begins. My Michigan Wolverines taking on the UCLA Bruins. Good start for Michigan, 21-12 right now. In-game total is 148.5. Michigan are -4.5. As I stated, UCLA are kind of the ones in the worst scheduling spot. Michigan played USC over the weekend. They've been in LA since, I think, Friday. And Michigan, it's not... they're, like I said off the top, they don't stay at the Hampton Inn, the Michigan Wolverines. They're staying at the W in Beverly Hills, and it's basically right in the middle. So they went to USC, and now they're going to UCLA. They set up shop in Beverly Hills, and the Michigan players have been basically like a mini vacation for them. They're loving it. They've been walking around, going shopping and stuff like that. They've enjoyed it. May said that they've loved it there. And then you got UCLA, who just came back from Lincoln, Nebraska. Right. Yeah. And plus, like I said, all the students aren't on campus right now. Something to think about, guys, in most of these college games, especially the on campus arenas. The student body's not there. So you'll have a couple of hardcores or grifters and stuff, but the school is closed. There's no classes going on, so the students aren't even on campus. So it's the arena. This is not a hostile time. It's a good time to be on the road right now. And you're seeing road teams get it done in college basketball. So yeah, 21-12 right now. I want to get to a best of X, and then you know what we do have. We'll get to this after. Actually, we'll hit this. We'll hit this after when McKinnis joins us. We got Rick Saratella stepping up and in. We'll get Rick's thoughts on what's going on in the National Football League. Another crazy day today, and what's going to happen right now. There's with the Las Vegas Raiders. And what are they going to do with the quarterback situation? What are they going to do with their head coach? The New York Giants have made a decision to bring back Dable and Joe Shane, which I think is a big mistake.
I agree. Like, what did they do to earn coming? I got to tell you.
They've had enough opportunity now. This is the thing. Like, they've had enough of a chance. I wouldn't trust them to draft a new quarterback. I wouldn't trust I wouldn't trust their decision. Cam, how the hell do you trust a guy that sat there and looked at the owner in the eye and said, "Don't worry, Barkley's not going to the Eagles. Nobody even really wants him." Like, a guy rushes for 2,000 yards. He should have already been fired already. Like I said, if you're not already fired, like Dable and Shane, it's like Homer Simpson and Mr. Burns. As much as you screw up, Burns won't fire you. Just remember, you're here forever.
He will never repeat this year again as he gets older. It's not happening. That's not the way the world works. In the NFL, when you get older, your numbers dive. That's all there is to it.
Why did you play him for as long as you played him against Dallas if you weren't going to play him this week to break the record? I mean, you left him in that Dallas game forever.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I know people are getting after Cole Anthony. Folks, it was a bang-bang play. You know, you got to give Cole Anthony props for diving on a loose ball. Yeah, was it a little bit, reckless? Maybe. But at the end of the day, for people to go after Cole Anthony and think this is a dirty play, you don't know ball.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this, I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text, put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, "Hey, I never got the text." And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, like, it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The Twisted Tuesday continues. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. 2025 is here, and so are the National Football League playoffs, which means the countdown to the National Football League draft is on, and our main man is already pounding the pavement in 2025 right now. Rick Saratella, founder of the NFL Draft Bible, allaccessfootball.com, and more. Rick is on the road at the Hula Bowl. Rick, always a pleasure, my man. Thanks a lot for taking the time to be with us. How is sunny Florida treating you?
Well, I don't know how much hula is here at the Hula Bowl game, but I will say I'm happy to escape the snowstorm. The 4-hour delay out
It should be
here.
called the Disney Bowl. You're right. It's not the Hula Bowl anymore. But, yeah, some travel complications. I'm hearing airports, some especially on the East Coast, aren't fun places to be right now.
Yeah, little brutal getting down here, but you know what? 55 and sunny. It's like a beach day here in Orlando at the Bounce House in UCF. So very nice event. Brian Billick, Mike Smith are the two head coaches. First practice in the books here today, and the game will be this Saturday, kind of the official start to the draft season.
And one of the players that a lot of people are looking at is Missouri Tiger quarterback Brady Cook, who played in the bowl game, and I loved his response to why he played in the bowl game, because he said, I love football. And, he couldn't have had a better answer when he said, it was my dream since I was 12 years old to be the starting quarterback of the Missouri Tigers. You think I'm going to turn down an opportunity to play in a bowl game for them? So I love the kid's character. We know he's tough. Kid takes a beating, gets up. He's played through pain before. The kid's a competitor. Is he a starting quarterback in the NFL? No. But it seems to me, Rick, and I tweeted out during the bowl game, I said, if I'm an NFL team, I'm comfortable with Brady Cook as my backup quarterback for the next 7-8 years. Chase Daniels, Matt Schaub, this kid could be a multimillionaire as a backup quarterback, in my opinion. What's your take?
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, I think when you take a look at guys like Ian Book out of Notre Dame, Trace McSorley out of Penn State, maybe they're, like you said, not NFL starters, but they can hold the clipboard. Charlie Whitehurst, touchdown Jesus, made a pretty good living as a backup. Chase Daniel was another one. And when you talk about Brady Cook, multiple years of starting, 3 or 4 years starting, a team captain, the way he willed the Missouri Tigers back in that Iowa bowl game. What a great, I think he threw for 283 yards. Just a great way to recap his collegiate career. And I do think he's going to hang around for about a decade or so as a competent backup.
What are your thoughts on Luther Burton III? This kid, all-out stud, but it's kind of hit or miss, right, with wide receivers. There's a lot of kids that are dominant in college, and it doesn't translate into the National Football League after. Where do you stand on Luther?
Well, I think, maybe the statistics didn't really speak to his potential this past season, but I think he's going to be a dynamic slot receiver. You talk about coming out of high school, this guy could have went anywhere in the nation. This is the most highly decorated and biggest recruit in Mizzou history. I have him as a top 20 first-round pick. I think he'll be the second wide receiver off the board.
Rick Saratella in the house with us. So, Rick, when it's all said and done, the Tennessee Titans, man, what a wild ride for the top pick in the NFL draft this year. The Tennessee Titans get the top pick. The Cleveland Browns have the second pick. The New York Football Giants draft third. The Patriots fourth, and then the Jags fifth, the Raiders sixth. And interesting, a lot of these teams are going to be looking for new coaches as well. New England, Jacksonville, and now the Raiders. What did you think, Rick, of the Maras deciding to keep the status quo and bring back Joe Shane and Brian Dable? I swear, if they didn't get fired after this year, these bros are never getting fired.
Yeah, it's frustrating, really, because I don't know if there's a worse-ran organization right now than the New York Football Giants. And, I just think it's frustrating that these guys chose to build around Daniel Jones, not Saquon Barkley, and now they're getting a redo. And I just didn't see that they deserve this opportunity. But that's the history. John Mara, Steve Tisch, they really like to ride out through the storms. And I'm sorry to say, but it's only going to get worse. And it's John Mara's fault for not going into the office and saying, guys, we have the first overall pick. We've been waiting 10 years to fix our quarterback position. Play the practice squad, guys. Only the Giants could screw it up where they now don't have the first-round pick. They'll have to give up a first-round pick next year in order to move back up and get the spot that they originally wanted. So I just don't see it. They wanted Shedeur Sanders. I don't see how that's possible at 3. And I'm not sure they really want to settle for Cam Ward.
And you know what? I don't know. I wouldn't want Joe Shane and Brian Dable making the decisions. And Dable doesn't like any quarterback, so it's just going to be spinning your wheels over and over. More with Rick on the other side. Bring it.
will never repeat this year again as he gets older. It's not happening. That's not the way the world works. In the NFL, when you get older, your numbers dive. That's all there is to it.
Why did you play him for as long as you played him against Dallas if you weren't going to play him this week to break the record? I mean, you left him in that Dallas game forever.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I know people are getting after Cole Anthony. Folks, it was a bang-bang play. You know, you got to give Cole Anthony props for diving with a loose ball. Yeah, was it a little bit, reckless? Maybe. But at the end of the day, for people to go after Cole Anthony and think this is a dirty play, you don't know ball.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this, I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text. Put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, "Hey, I never got the text." And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe. It's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The Twisted Tuesday continues. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency, the pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people that bust them, and everybody else in between. We're breaking it down. Rick Saratella in the house with us live in Orlando, Florida for the Hula Bowl. They used to be in Hawaii, but Florida steals everything. So, Rick, updated NFL draft numbers right now. Very interesting. Cam Ward is now the favorite to be the top pick of the draft, minus 125. Shedeur Sanders is plus 105. Travis Hunter has fallen all the way to 10-1 right now. Williams 48-1. Then you get the big numbers. Banks 50-1. Listen, I thought that the Banks of the world and potentially the Mason Grahams of the world had potential to be the top pick, but only if the Patriots had the, if a team that was going to go defense or offensive line. Now, man, this thing is thrown all over the place. This is going to be a chaotic draft, isn't it, Rick? Because does Shedeur want to go to Tennessee? Is he going to? Will he be happy going to Tennessee? What are your thoughts on Cam Ward becoming the favorite to be the top pick of the draft?
I think it's very interesting because, what did I do for my New Year's? I went back and watched every touchdown pass thrown by Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, and I came away much more impressed by Shedeur Sanders' overall body of work, his ability to create, be a point guard, extend plays, make rare throws, squeeze it into tight windows. Cam Ward, while it kind of almost reminds me of, you might not appreciate this, but E.J. Manuel was a guy who just kind of had some flashes, and you said, wow, that's a rare throw. And, you saw it pop up, and you kind of, tried to mold the quarterback there. It really wasn't there. I think Cam Ward might be a mirage, and I think teams are going to be fooled by these wow throws that show up on film. I just didn't see it consistently like I did. Shedeur Sanders, not only is he tough, gritty, and played behind an offensive line where he had almost no time, this is a guy who makes play under duress, and that's going to succeed, I think, a little bit better at the next level.
Yeah, I can't argue with a lot of your points there as far as the pinpoint accuracy, throwing it, into tight spaces, into double coverage, et cetera, like he's going to have to do. And also, we've never seen Shedeur Sanders on a good football team before. Right? I mean, with all due respect to, Jackson State and with Colorado, he's had a couple of players around him, but he's never had an offensive line. He's never had a deep pool of wide receivers. He's never had, he's never been on it. Let's just call it, never been on a really, really, really good football team around really great players before. And I like the fact that he's run for his life and he's had to, had to fight through those things. I'm not expecting the Sanders whole thing, family, to turn this into a massive drama. I mean, the kid's going to be the face of the franchise no matter where he ends up. But I will say, Rick, we've seen him post Instagram messages with New York Giant custom-made cleats. We've seen him root and cheer for the Raiders to lose every week, and because he wants to be a Raider. I've never seen him praising God to be a Tennessee Titan before. We'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, well, it's part of the package, right? I mean, it comes the glitz, the glamour, the lights, the camera, but it's really about that action that Shedeur Sanders is about. And I wrote that in my recent mock draft. I had him going number 1 overall. And I do believe if Tennessee Titans stand pat, this is a guy, you want to get it right. You just went into the season with Will Levis as your starter, and you want to make sure you get this right. And, to your point, when he gets a real offensive line and has time to throw and is thrown to a team full of studs, I think, he's dominated at every level, high school, HBCU, Power 4, and he will be well suited for the NFL game. And I think it's amazing how now there's these smoke screens coming out saying, some teams don't even have a first-round grade on them. I'd like to know, maybe you should put your name on that one.
Yeah, that would change a lot of these crazy pre-draft comments. One topic of conversation is, and I'm curious your take on this, if J.J. McCarthy was in this year's draft, is he the best? It's hard to say no, isn't it? Would you rather J.J. McCarthy, Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward?
Yeah, if J.J.'s healthy, it would be J.J. McCarthy. Now you got him coming off a second injury. How much does his trade value? Does it still fetch a first-round pick? I do think Minnesota is going to stick with Sam Darnold, which is why they brought him Daniel Jones in. So I think J.J. McCarthy is probably the odd man out in Minnesota.
I'm going to disagree. I think that the Vikings will be bold enough to see that Sam Darnold was just there, right? I think O'Connell thinks, you know what, we can win with I don't think they're going to give up on J.J. McCarthy personally. I don't see them trading a pick. I know Schefter threw it out there, and how about there'd be big value, because a lot of teams that's how it all started. That a lot of teams are like, J.J. McCarthy's better than all these dudes, and we'd rather J.J. McCarthy and see if the Vikings want to trade. But I don't see the Vikings doing that. And my prediction for Daniel Jones is he's going to be a Las Vegas Raider. Where's your prediction for Jones next year? I say it right now. I posted it earlier today online. Daniel Jones will be the starting quarterback of the Raiders next year, in my opinion, Rick. Where does Jones play?
I have a different New York quarterback as a starter for the Raiders. I have Aaron Rodgers.
And, I've been thinking about that in the back of my mind as well, that, that the Jets say, you're done, we don't want you back. And Tom Brady says, you know what, I was an old guy. He's an old star. Let's bring in Aaron Rodgers.
I think Rodgers is out in Broadway. I think the Raiders would make too much sense. And I'm not sure Daniel Jones is going to be a starting quarterback next year in the NFL. I think whatever team signs him to be a starter is going to be in trouble. But I think Daniel Jones is going to remain right there in Minnesota, because whether it's Darnold or McCarthy, whichever way it is, one of those guys is gone, and they're going to want to have
need a backup
there.
Yeah. All right, Rick. We only got about 3 minutes here, so let's do NFL playoff predictions this weekend. Harbaugh, what a great job. Hey, Harbaugh, last year, what a coach this guy is. What can you say? I mean, last year at this time, literally almost to the day, Rick, actually it was the day after the championship, was a year ago yesterday that they won the national championship. And here he is a year later preparing for an NFL playoff game in his return to the NFL. Unbelievable stuff from Harbaugh. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they should be 3-point favorites, but I also believe that Harbaugh and Herbert can find a way to win this football game.
I do believe the Chargers are going to come away victorious with this. We've talked about it all season long. This is just a well-coached team. They don't make too many mistakes. They're built to win inside the trenches. And quite honestly, the Texans scare me in a big spot. Anytime they're in a big spot, they come up a little bit shaky. They've got some injuries they're dealing with. I think the Chargers are going to win this game. I think they're going to win this game from start to finish. I don't think there's going to be much of a question. I think the Texans stick around, but the Chargers take control from start to finish.
The Steelers are getting 10 at Baltimore. Denver, 8.5-point underdogs in Buffalo. Philadelphia Eagles are laying 4.5, Rick. And the Packers are a little beat up, and they haven't played great. But this is the one sort of game that I think could be close and a battle. What's your take on the Packers and the Eagles?
You know, it's going to come down to the health status of Jalen Hurts. I do believe that because Kenny Pickett is just not going to be capable of keeping up with a track meet. So I think they need a healthy Jalen Hurts. I think Hurts will be ready to go, and I think the Eagles are going to go on a run here. I think the Eagles will make it at least to the NFC Championship, so I'm going to go Philadelphia at home.
You like Buffalo? Do you like the Bills to beat the Broncos?
I do like the Bills to beat the Broncos. I think that game's going to be a lot closer than people realize. The Broncos have been playing better football. Bo Nix is really coming into his own, and he's a dual threat too. You know, he's not as big as Josh Allen, but I like the Bills. I don't know if they cover, but I like the Bills to win this game.
All right, we've only got about 15 seconds here, Rick. You got the Sunday nighter Commanders and Bucks, and then, of course, the Vikings and Rams. Who you got in those games?
I think the Buccaneers have too much experience, so give me the Buccaneers on that one. I think the Bulls crew has been there, done that. Baker Mayfield's kind of got a little bit of a chip. And who's the other game?
The Monday nighter, Sam Darnold and the Rams.
I got the Rams. The Rams beat them the first time. The Rams are a problem. They're going to be at home. Sam Darnold's going to be seeing ghosts again.
He will never repeat this year again as he gets older. It's not happening. That's not the way the world works. In the NFL, when you get older, your numbers dive. That's all there is to it.
Why did you play him for as long as you played him against Dallas if you weren't going to play him this week to break the record? I mean, you left him in that Dallas game forever.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I know people are getting after Cole Anthony. Folks, it was a bang-bang play. You know, you got to give Cole Anthony props for diving with a loose ball. Yeah, was it a little bit, reckless? Maybe. But at the end of the day, for people to go after Cole Anthony and think this is a dirty play, you don't know ball.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this, I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text, put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. When he texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. The Twisted Tuesday continues. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. SportsGrid Radio and Television Network, Sirius XM Channel 159. The Michigan Wolverines and the UCLA Bruins playing the late-night game of the night tonight, a Big Ten matchup between two 11-3 basketball teams. Michigan rolling early right now. They're up 45-27. And the in-game total, I'm shocked to see it's this high right now. It's 161.5. Right, it closed at 143.5. It actually went up A lot of people sort of saw it as a correlated play with UCLA and the under, UCLA's defense, this and that. But Michigan are rolling, man. They really are one of the, I'm not going to say they're one of the top teams in the country because there's some really good college basketball teams in the SEC right now. And the ACC, the Big 12, et cetera. College basketball is not like college football. There's a bunch of good teams in college basketball, but Michigan are the real deal. Like this basketball team can play with anybody, and I think they're like Elite Eight type of deal. I said when May got the job, I thought they'd be in the Final Four within 2 years. It's pretty quick, but it's not like the cupboard was bare. Michigan had a ton of good players. It's a great program. Juwan Howard just wasn't the right guy for the job the way things were going. All right, we got a hockey game that just started. We're waiting on Andrew McKinnis right now. San Jose Sharks and the Las Vegas Golden Knights are playing at the Shark Tank tonight. Listen, let's not confuse the fact with Macklin Celebrini being amazing and Will Smith and stuff. They do have some good young players. They've also lost 8 of their last 10 hockey games, right? Like they lost 8 games in a row, and they've won their last 2. So they've got good young talent. They're going to be good in a couple of years, but they're still not a great team. But they are at home where they're competitive, playing against Las Vegas right now. I would have preferred the 2.5, and I actually did play a 2.5, Cam. I took the San Jose Sharks plus 2.5 goals and the Buffalo Bills on the money line, minus 139. I got a head start on the Buffalo Bills with the Sharks plus 2.5.
Are coming back. Yeah, here we go. The plus 3.5.
Well, I know I'm going to play the Bills unless I get run over by a bus. So I'll be on the Bills' money line. So I might as well just put it in now. I figured, I might as well just stockpile, start putting. Exactly. I didn't go crazy on it. After I did it, I was like, this is a pretty dumb play. Like, who cares about this small amount of money? Then I sort of realized, I was like, well, you know what? It's only Tuesday. I'll start stockpiling these money line parlays through the week and have the Bills like at the end of the week. I'll have a couple of thousand on parlays hopefully by the end of it.
Exactly. I don't want to be a jerk to like our coworker Wetzel, but I do that show before we come on, and his Dark Cloud play of the night is an absolute disaster. And he's always going against the Sharks, so it's not like against. So I told him, I go like, I'm going to take San Jose. And he's like, my super lock of the night is the Vegas Golden Knights money line. I'm like, I'm on the Sharks. I'm sorry. Like last time I was on the show, you told me the Sharks were going to get murdered, and they won the game. So I don't know what it is. I'm an apologist for the San Jose Sharks. I know Vegas.
They have lost 8 of their last 10 games. We should know that.
I know. I watch a lot of hockey, but I'm going to tell you something, too. Close games, they're a better team at home. And Vegas, the thing about them is they win games, but they also do it in sometimes interesting fashion. This is the thing. San Jose hates Las Vegas. If they're going to play one of their best games, it's tonight. Give me San Jose plus 1.5 in this spot, Morency. Sprinkle on the money line. I'm not screwing around. I think they can win. And I'm on Calgary.
I saw and I heard you with Sherapan and Wetzel. Yeah. And he said the Sharks had, figured it out or something. I'm like, no, the Sharks haven't figured anything out. They just have a good young player. Like, they're still back. They've won 2 games in the last 10.
They're competitive, though, Gabe. There's no more of this.
That's why I'm stating. Don't confuse, Cam, them having good young talent with them figuring it out. They haven't figured it out. They just have a couple of really good star young players.
Are they
by the way,
figure it out? Starting to?
No. They just have a star player in Celebrini. Let's bring in Andrew McKinnis. Are the Sharks? No. The Montreal Canadiens are starting to figure it out.
Hey, we're on the Montreal. All of us.
No. But figuring it out means you're starting to, you turn the corner. And it's like, no, we don't suck anymore. We're winning. We're a 500 team.
Fair enough.
When you're 2-8 in your last 10, you haven't turned any corners. You've crashed into the corner. McKinnis, you're the judge on this.
A little hard on SJ Sharks.
Yeah, I mean, look, guys, what I'm going to say is that if you're going to be bad and young. That's all I'm going to say. Because it's one thing to be bad and be middle-aged, but at least they're not very good and they're young. And guess which players are playing well? To your point, Gabe, the younger players. So at least if they're not very good, there's reasons to put fans in the seats. They're having a lot more highlight tapes than they had all of last year combined already through January. So, I mean, there's reasons to be happy if you're the social media team for the Sharks.
That's a good way to put it. There's hope to go to the arena. Look, the fans have a...
Oh, yeah.
They have they can go and say, you know what, we'll be good in 4 years. The NHL is hard to get good. It's not the NFL. You can go from worst to first. NHL, look at the Canadiens rebuild right now. It's taken a while, and they stockpile picks. It's hard. The NHL, You see it, McKinnis and Cam, but I'll throw it to you, McKinnis. You see it like with Bedard and stuff. One good player can't change the culture of a hockey team. Like you need to be deep.
Yeah,
you know?
You're right, Dave. But let's look at some of these results. Versus Devils win 3-2. They beat the Lightning 2-1. They lose to the Knights, big deal. They lose to the Vancouver Canucks 4-3. Lose to the Oilers in overtime 3-2. Versus Avalanche 4-2. Am I sensing a drift here? Winnipeg. They lost by 1 to the Winnipeg Jets. Like, that's the thing. They're very competitive. They're good on the puck line. Put it that way. They lose a lot of one-goal games, and they're getting a lot of the time to get
Who did you take,
at
McKinnis, in this game? Who did you take, San Jose or Las Vegas?
Give me
Guys, I didn't bet this game until probably 40 seconds ago before I came on here, and I took the over. So I'll be completely honest. I had zero. And I actually had a lot of action tonight across NBA
The Sharks
and NHL.
always play on Tuesday nights when you come on.
Yeah,
you got to
yeah,
get ready to
we
do
do.
weekly Shark
That's our team, man.
I know.
It's pretty clear they play a Tuesday night home game every week when they're at home.
I got a problem.
Yeah.
I'm becoming a real big, I liked the Sharks before, but they're my team. I represent the San Jose Sharks. I like them. I don't know what
Cam,
it is.
you know, I mean, one
program.
mistake. Can you guys believe what Nashville did as far as Askarov is concerned, or Askarov, however you pronounce his name? I cannot believe that. I'm telling you guys, we're going to be talking in a couple years.
They fleeced
It
them.
was
The San Jose Sharks
unbelievable.
have done really good things, Gabe. I'm telling you, Mike Greer and his staff are actually fleecing a lot of teams and picks. I don't know what's going on. We'll see these moves 2 to 3 years down the line. I agree. It's going to take a while, but the trajectory is high, whereas other teams like Nashville, look at them now.
Vegas just scored.
Okay. And,
Over.
I'll take that.
He will never repeat this year again as he gets older. It's not happening. That's not the way the world works. In the NFL, when you get older, your numbers dive. That's all there is to it.
Why did you play him for as long as you played him against Dallas if you weren't going to play him this week to break the record? I mean, you left him in that Dallas game forever.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I know people are getting after Cole Anthony. Folks, it was a bang-bang play. You know, you got to give Cole Anthony props for diving with a loose ball. Yeah, was it a little bit, reckless? Maybe. But at the end of the day, for people to go after Cole Anthony and think this is a dirty play, you don't know ball.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this. I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text. Put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, "Hey, I never got the text." And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe. It's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I'm 47-36, Michigan. I was going to say at the half, there's 4 seconds left. In-game total is up to 163.5. Wow. Unbelievable. I didn't think they were going to hang 83 points combined on the board. Now UCLA just put another point up. So 47-37, 10-point game. UCLA are battling back. Michigan have been up by double digits all night, but the Bruins are battling back. We're officially at the half now. 47-37, in-game total, 163.5. We're on Michigan and we're on the over. I haven't chased this yet. Boise State and UNLV are off and running right now. We got a game coming up. St. Mary's are laying 13.5 to Loyola Marymount, and we can tell you the Las Vegas Golden Knights have just taken a 2-0 lead on the San Jose Sharks. Have not turned a quarter. Team.
Right when I clicked +2.5 too, like they scored like a second after. I am on the over. Can't lie.
Well, I told you guys before.
That was a bad goal, though. The goalie, that was a terrible goal.
A real problem. Who's in that tonight? Is it our guy McInnes, or is it the other guy?
I'm a situational handicapper, but when I look at things, guys, this morning I was looking at these numbers. The last 4 weeks combined, San Jose Sharks dead last expected goals against. This team is the worst team in the last 4 weeks combined. I can't assume you're going to be on the Sharks every time.
Oh, I know who's in net. That was the net today. Said Gorgiev from Avalanche. He reeks. He sucks, Morency. Guy's got like a same percentage of like a garbage can. Anyway, yeah, that was stupid. Over.
That's why they call him Forgiev. He gives up 4 goals a game.
Forgiev.
Well, good start for the total. You got 2 goals with 9 minutes left in the first period of play. All right, NFL football. Andrew McInnes is a Green Bay Packer fan. Packers and the Eagles, Sunday afternoon, 4:30 on Fox. Point spread, it was 2.5, McInnes, last week. There was an advanced line of 2.5 on Friday going into the weekend, and then it popped up to 3.5. The opening number on Sunday night was 3.5, and the market moved it to 4.5. It's settled in right now. Christian Watson's going to be out for the Packers. Jalen Hurts, as of today, was still in the concussion protocol, but he's going to be cleared now because it's into week 2, etc. So he'll. Oh God, the Sharks just missed an open net. Could have scored.
Great.
So what do you think, McInnes? How do you feel about your Packers coming into this game against the Philadelphia Eagles, getting 4.5?
I feel disrespected, Gabe. That's what I feel. I feel disrespected because you know what? This Eagles team, 31st ranked as far as the strength of schedule is concerned. Saquon, unbelievable. Can't deny it. Some of the weapons that they've had. But you know what? Everybody keeps talking about how the Packers looked in contest against great teams. How about people list to me how many great teams the Eagles played well against? They looked great in games they should look great in. And we're getting points here with the Packers. And what do I always say to you and Cam on the show is that I love the fact that you can diversify the portfolio, you diversify the amount of guys you can go to, the amount of weapons you have here with this Packers team. Christian Watson's out. Yeah, it stinks. But to me, what's built this team, what's made them so successful is they have so many weapons that can step up. I've never really been worried about the whole next man up mentality as far as the receivers are concerned. I get a little bit worried about Love with his injury and then how he's been taking care of the ball lately. People are saying that Josh Jacobs won't be able to run the ball against the Eagles. I think if he can even have a mediocre day on the ground just to kind of establish the run game, they will be able to throw the ball on the Eagles. And again, I feel like people have a very sense of recency bias and kind of hatred towards this Packers team based on some games they've played against good teams. So I'll throw it back to you with this. How many great teams have the Eagles had the chance to even play this season?
I know, it's a fair point. And listen, 2 things can be right at the same time. The Green Bay Packers have not looked great. And you know what? The one thing, it's not like they get murdered in these games against good teams, right? They've lost a lot of close games. They were on the road, not ideal spots. But I completely agree. And I've been saying this about the Eagles for a couple of years. For whatever reason, the Eagles seem to always have an easy schedule, right? They just do. And I don't know if the division's gotten a little bit better. The Giants are bad right now, but Washington are better. Dallas are down now, though. So there's generally the Eagles have been in a division for the most part. Only the Cowboys have been good over the last 10 years, right? The Giants made the playoffs once or whatever. The Commanders/Redskins sucked. So they've been in a bad division. And you're right. I've always thought the Eagles were a little overrated and they feast on bad teams. So they're very similar. To me, if you can contain Saquon, shut Saquon down, make Jalen Hurts throw the football and beat you, right? And then you need Jordan Love to step up as well. And I'm a Love guy, but he needs to step up.
will never repeat this year again as he gets older. It's not happening. That's not the way the world works. In the NFL, when you get older, your numbers dive. That's all there is to it.
Why did you play him for as long as you played him against Dallas if you weren't going to play him this week to break the record? I mean, you left him in that Dallas game forever.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I know people are getting after Cole Anthony. Folks, it was a bang-bang play. You know, you got to give Cole Anthony props for diving with a loose ball. Yeah, was it a little bit, reckless? Maybe. But at the end of the day, for people to go after Cole Anthony and think this is a dirty play, you don't know ball.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this, I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text. Put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, "Hey, I never got the text." And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. When he texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, like, it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. This is Sports Rage. Quickest 120 minutes in sports talk and television. We're into level 2. SportsGrid Radio and Television Network, Sirius XM Channel 159, less than 48 hours away from college football playoff action. That's sort of sneaking up on us. We got to get into that. We really will a lot tomorrow as well. But NBA basketball right now. The Nuggets are shorthanded. The Celtics were laying 10.5. No Jokic. The Celtics were up really big. Denver have come back. It's 57-57 right now. Boston are laying 7.5, 227.5 is the total. The Hawks and Jazz 100. Seems like the Hawks have been on the road for like a month. The Hawks in Utah, they're up 100-98 right now with 9 minutes left. The Heat were getting 10.5 points, shorthanded, and coming off a double overtime loss last night to the Sacramento Kings. Light the beam. The Kings have won 5 in a row, and the Heat are up 59-45 right now. The Warriors are plus 4.5 in-game if you're looking at it. Auburn's up 77-66 on Texas. LSU's getting smashed by Missouri 80-63 late in that basketball game. We got a ton of college ball. Michigan up 47-37 on UCLA at the half. Boise State laying 8.5 are up by 6 right now, 22-16, 10.5 over UNLV. And Loyola Marymount and St. Mary's haven't tipped off yet. All right, McKinnis in the house with us. He likes his Green Bay Packers plus 4.5 points. I don't argue the pick. I wouldn't be surprised if Philadelphia Eagles won the game. I think the game is a toss-up. Despite the Packers' flaws, the Eagles are imperfect as well. LaFleur's a good coach. I thought that I didn't think he did a great job against the Lions, McKinnis. It's been a little bit off LaFleur this year, it seems, with his decisions, like in-game and stuff. Like, he gets conservative, he gets aggressive. I'm going to go for 2. I'm not. I'm going to kick a field goal. Like, he's all over the place, actually. So I think he's sort of got to get dialed in. And I noticed he's been very emotional, too, LaFleur. Yeah, I'm a big Matt LaFleur guy. I think he's a great coach, McKinnis. But I've noticed, like, he gets madder recently. Like, he seems to be a little rattled. He seems a little on edge. Like, he gets frustrated easier, it seems now. But I think they're in the game. What about the other games? Which game do you like? What else are you betting this week, or are you looking at in the NFL playoffs, Andrew?
And Gabe, he looks unsure sometimes. At least Dan Campbell, you know what that guy's going to do. You know Dan Campbell's going to just go for it no matter what. With Matt LaFleur, I couldn't flip a coin and tell you what he's going to do, which is kind of
he's like a dude. He's like a tourist at the blackjack table. He's got a hoodie on. He's like, I don't know, should I hit? And he's like, if I hit, he's sort of like you said. It's like I said, he's not himself fully. And then when it goes wrong, he's like, oh F, like son of a bitch, and he throws it like
he's got that look, Gabe.
He used to always be like McVay and calm. Now he's like getting mad, Cam. He's like, you know?
When I see that guy come to my blackjack table, see ya, I'm gone. Like, you know what I mean? He's got that look of like, this guy's going to absolutely murder us because he looks very unconfident.
But same with Love, though. Love's not fully comfortable either. They're not in that pocket, but it doesn't mean it can't come together after a nice early drive for them. The start for them, McKinnis, is so critical. The Packers need to play well early in this game.
They're at their best when they play simple. And I know that sounds like the most cliche thing I could say to you guys, but they're at their best when they don't try and do anything spectacular. Just let your playmakers make the plays. Keep Jordan Love just
don't throw the ball down the field when it's 3rd and 2. Don't throw a bomb. Just get the first down. Stuff like that.
That's the Seahawks move, Gabe. Always that 3rd and 1, bomb. 4th and 1, bomb, punt. Like it's
the Packers are big on
Bills,
that too.
I like the team total up and over 27.5 here with the Bills. Look, I mean, this is a team that when they've showed up to games, they have meant business, and we've seen them put 40 spots up like it's been nobody's business. 40, 48, 35, 42, putting up numbers like other teams put up 20. They're putting up 30 pieces. I've got over 27.5 at regular minus 110 odds here. This is a spot here where I think we're going to see kind of both teams trade points. And I do give respect to the fact that I think that the Broncos are not going to go away. But I also will say one thing about your Bills is that they're the kind of team that wants to step on your throat. There's no respect in the playoffs. There's no class. They're going to score 40 points if they can. And they start early. The Buffalo Bills do not ease into games. A lot of people I know have been betting the Bills first halves because the spreads have been so big throughout the season. They didn't like certain spots. Get in on them early. What I'm going to do is take the Broncos out of the picture, forget about them, forget about what they're going to do. Because you know what, Gabe? I liked the full game over when I saw these numbers come out. And then I said to myself, Andrew, if you like the full game over, why not take the team you can trust to put points on the board and go over 27.5 with this team that's done so well all year at home? And the Broncos are a great story. But the only thing they're going to do to be able to help themselves not only, cover, but, win, which is be shocking against the Bills, is score. I don't trust their defense to get stops. This is the thing as well. They're going to try and, get the run game going. The second you're down double digits, you can't run the ball anymore. This is going to be a track meet, I think. I wouldn't talk anybody out the full game over, but I do think Bills over 27.5 is a good move to make. And I'll tell you what, I think the Steelers get smoked. I think it is a bad day for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I really do. I just don't trust this team. And when they're down and they look uncomfortable, they just do not seem like a team that I can trust. And the thing is, what's changed this year for the Baltimore Ravens? The fact that they can kill you both ways. They not only have a mobile quarterback, they have a great running back. They have a passing game. They are extremely well-rounded. So when I look at this Pittsburgh Steelers team, when they go down, they're going to look very uncomfortable. They're going to start making plays that are outside of their comfort zone. It's kind of like what I was just saying about the Packers with keeping it simple. When the Pittsburgh Steelers are not keeping it simple, it doesn't look good, guys. I think they get smoked. Give me the favorite in that one to roll.
And speaking of which, that's a good segue, McKinnis, into one of our best of X's, if you can, Greg, as far as Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens are concerned. We'll get this up and running. Now, as a Bills fan, I don't like to see this because I actually do believe in these weird numerical symmetries and stuff like this. So the fact of the matter is Trent Dilfer was 28 years old when the Ravens won their first Super Bowl. Joe Flacco was 28 years old when the Baltimore Ravens won their second Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson just turned 28 today. It's lining up. The number 28 is a big number, McKinnis, for the Baltimore Ravens.
Well, speaking of big numbers, Gabe, what do you guys think about the overall number for them to win it all? I mean, if we're just talking from numbers standpoint, it's still actually a pretty
I think Buffalo or Baltimore, and they're going to play each other, which is unfortunate. but they both win this weekend. They're going to play each other next week. I think the winner of that game will knock off the Kansas City Chiefs after. But I think the Bills have a better chance of beating the Chiefs, but I think the Ravens could beat the Bills. You know what I'm saying? I think it's that sort of toss-up. But I give the edge to the Bills. I give the edge to the Bills because they're playing at home against the Ravens.
If the Chargers
would play the Chiefs.
Oh, baby. I'm telling
and
you.
Harbaugh could beat them potentially. He could come in there and beat them. It's Harbaugh this time.
I'm telling you, man. I think I'm praying that the Chargers win because I think they can knock off Kansas City and have Buffalo and Baltimore remaining in a great AFC fight. So I'm telling you, I agree. I think we're all.
Yeah, Mahomes isn't 100%. He's beat up. Yeah, they haven't played in 3 weeks, 25 days when they play. And think about it, McKinnis, too. The Chargers have always played the Chiefs tough. Like even when Staley was there. It's one of those division rival type of deals where the Chargers aren't scared of the Chiefs. They might be on the wrong side of it. Thing with Herbert is, and I've been talking about this, Herbert hasn't had the opportunity in his career to play in a lot of big games, right? Like he's been in big programs and stuff. He was with the Oregon Ducks. They nearly made the college football playoffs. They nearly made the national championship. They ended up in the Rose Bowl. He played awesome in the Rose Bowl. Big-time game. Got him, drafted into the NFL. He had a massive run. He just sort of put the Ducks on his back and led in the victory. Remember he played great against the Jacksonville Jags in the playoffs. It wasn't his fault. The defense sucked. He steps up in big moments. That's the whole thing with Herbert. I think they got a puncher's chance against KC as well. I agree with you guys. Hey, McKinnis. Great stuff, McKinnis.
He will never repeat this year again as he gets older. It's not happening. That's not the way the world works. In the NFL, when you get older, your numbers dive. That's all there is to it.
Why did you play him for as long as you played him against Dallas if you weren't going to play him this week to break the record? I mean, you left him in that Dallas game forever.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I know people are getting after Cole Anthony. Folks, it was a bang-bang play. You know, you got to give Cole Anthony props for diving on a loose ball. Yeah, was it a little bit, reckless? Maybe. But at the end of the day, for people to go after Cole Anthony and think this is a dirty play, you don't know ball.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this, I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text, put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. Level 2 continues. Man, UCLA are really coming back for real on Michigan. It's 49-44 right now. They've really started to chip away at this lead. Michigan were up 45-28 at one point. Now it's 49-44. In-game total is 162.5. I'm like, man, I'm already on the over 143, so that's looking pretty sharp. But I haven't jumped in on the in-game total, but the points just keep coming. Now, Michigan's going to the free throw line. It's a pretty physical game. They're going to be in the bonus probably pretty quickly in this game. There's already been 19 fouls in the game overall. So in-game total 162.5 right now. All right, we were just talking NFL playoff football. Let's keep it rolling. We got Loud Esmond in the house. Loud, good to see you. And the Chargers and Texans, we were just talking with Andrew McKinnis about the NFL playoff games. The Chargers are 3-point favorites in this game, and we were getting ahead of ourselves saying that the Chargers could compete with the Kansas City Chiefs. They played them tough when they had, dumbass coaches with Staley, and, it's one of these division rival type of deals. Harbaugh's an awesome coach. If you give him a week to prepare for a team in a playoff game, his MO is going to be shorten the game. And you got a total of 42 here. I hate betting unders in NFL games, Loud, but I have a hard time saying that this game will go over. The problem is 24-21 beats you, and that's a pretty low-scoring game. Hell, 23-20 beats you if you bet the under 42. I think the under with the teaser is a nicer look and a little bit safer, but how do you feel about the Chargers and Texans game, Loud?
Well, the Chargers are the number one scoring defense in the NFL, allowing around 17 points a game. The Texans, on their best day, score around 21. The Chargers only average 23 points. I just don't see it being a very high-scoring game. The Chargers aren't going to want to throw the ball around. They're going to run the ball, try to, take the air out of the ball, to use a basketball parlance. And then I don't see the Texans being good enough on offense to score. Texans haven't been impressive all year. If they played in any other division, they're probably not even in the playoffs.
They were fortunate. That the division is a weak division. Their injuries have just caught up to them, and you can't just use that as an excuse. But they have had a ton of injury problems. For me, Cam, it's just Harbaugh, right? It's just the Harbaugh factor. DeRyan's, is a great coach. He's a great player. But this, Houston, they just don't have a full arsenal right now. And you get a Charger team coming in here that are going to just run the ball down their throat and shorten the game. And you get Justin Herbert, like I said, man, between Harbaugh and Herbert, I just believe when these big 3rd and 4s, when it's 17-17 or something in the fourth quarter, I think Herbert can come up with that play. One thing that Herbert's done more, too, recently, and it's been Harbaugh's told him to run more. He's taken off a little bit more. And now that it's the playoffs, I would expect him to be even more aggressive running the football. So I'm all in on Herbert in this. I'm just buying in on H&H, Harbaugh and Herbert.
I agree with you. I love H&H. And I'll tell you another thing. What was the Chargers' problems years ago with Staley's special teams? They've totally reversed it. They have one of the best kickers in the game. Their coverage is good now. They do everything well. You also have a nice possession receiver and a stud in Ladd McConkey that doesn't drop balls. That's the whole thing. I look at this Chargers whole package, and I go, very dangerous. You have good rush ends. You have a lot of talented guys. That's why I say if they get through this game, Gabe, with Houston, if they find a way to beat the Houston Texans, I think they can beat the Kansas City Chiefs. That's me. That's my opinion. And they have one of the best kickers, the kicker too. Everything that set them back and lost big games before is the total opposite now. I do agree with Loud, though. I think they want to grind this game out, and Houston just pound them into oblivion with big, long drives. I like the under, and I like the Chargers.
Anything else in the NFL playoffs allowed catch your eye this week? That's the first game up. Anything on Saturday, Sunday, or Monday that you like in the NFL?
Well, the Ravens, I think, are just going to pound the Steelers. They beat them by 17 last time out. I think, sometimes we overthink things in sports gambling, and what's going to change between last time they played and now playing this time, except the Ravens are going to be even more motivated. So I think that's the easiest one for me to call is the Ravens are going to beat the hell out of the Steelers and cover by, the 10 points, probably beating them by 17 or 20, because they're going to get down early. And then what's Pittsburgh's answer? They're not very good when they're down. So it's going to be extremely difficult.
The same logic, what you just said too, about what's going to be different, is Sam Darnold going to be better this week against the Rams? Because that was bad. Right, you could argue, well, he got it out of his system. It was at least it wasn't an elimination game, and because he was clearly nervous and he was clearly rattled, and he didn't get better as the game went on. He almost got worse. Can he turn that around suddenly against the Rams on Monday Night Football? I'm not so sure that he can.
No, I have a very bad feeling for Sam Darnold in this game. The Rams can be as hot as any team on offense in the NFL with that combination of receivers and Matt Stafford at quarterback and a few other pieces that they have. They can be very, very challenging. And, Minnesota getting blown out in that game, that's not a good sign. And so, yeah, I think the Rams definitely have a very good chance to knock off Minnesota.
The Minnesota Vikings, if you think about it, going back to the 70s, and they lost with Frank Tarkenton and Bud Grant and stuff, they lost 4 Super Bowls, right? So it's Heartbreak City. They were like the Bills before the Bills, like after the Bills' miseries. But I was thinking about it throughout my entire life. I've never seen the Vikings win like a big game. I remember when I was a kid and like a teenager in the Lawrence Taylor days. I remember they went to the Meadowlands in the playoffs. It was super cold. They lost like 41-0 or something. Like they just got smashed. They got murdered. Right? The Randall Cunningham era, they were super good, 15-1 or whatever. They lost in the playoffs. Right? Dante Culpepper, same thing, 14-2, whatever. They lost in the playoffs to the Falcons. Right? The Philadelphia Eagles, when they won the Super Bowl, there was the Minnesota Vikings, the NFC Conference Championship game. They were in the game until they weren't. And then they got lit up in the second half. The Vikings just don't win big games, right? It's a carryover from past failures in past years, and it just haunts them. And I don't think Sam Darnold has what it takes to break the curse.
He will never repeat this year again as he gets older. It's not happening. That's not the way the world works. In the NFL, when you get older, your numbers dive. That's all there is to it.
Why did you play him for as long as you played him against Dallas if you weren't going to play him this week to break the record? I mean, you left him in that Dallas game forever.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I know people are getting after Cole Anthony. Folks, it was a bang-bang play. You got to give Cole Anthony props for diving with a loose ball. Yeah, was it a little bit, reckless? Maybe. But at the end of the day, for people to go after Cole Anthony and think this is a dirty play, you don't know ball.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this, I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text, put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh, yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The meltdown is now complete for the Michigan Wolverines. What was nearly a 20-point lead at one point. I think they were up by 18. They were literally rolling. They're losing 54-51 now. Just like that. The UCLA Bruins have gone on a torrid run to end the first half. Now to start the second half, we played 6 minutes. They've outscored Michigan 17-4. Michigan have only scored 4 points in the second half, 54-51, UCLA Bruins, 14 minutes left. The total skyrocketed to 163.5. I didn't bite. It's fallen to like 158.5 right now. I still think that's 160.5. It might be a little high. Like I said, Michigan aren't scoring right now. They just called a timeout in a little bit of a panic. But college basketball is a game of runs. All right, so speaking of college sports, NCAA college football championship game was last night, but now we've got the college football playoffs rolling. Semifinal game Thursday night, Loud. Notre Dame, Penn State. This number's been bouncing around from 1.5, 2. I see a 1.5 right now. Total is 45. Who do you like in the Irish and the Nittany Lions? As evenly matched teams as you can get.
I just want to point something out that's weird about the lines to me. So Notre Dame favored by 1.5 over Georgia. Georgia, who was a higher-ranked team, but of course Georgia had the backup quarterback in. I don't know how much exactly you lost from Carson Beck, but now Notre Dame is minus 1.5 against Penn State. But after talking to a bunch of bookmakers today, they all agreed that if Georgia had beaten Notre Dame, it would be Georgia minus 3 or 3.5 or 4. So there's some kind of Notre Dame anti-bias playing here, because I looked at a bunch of commentary on this game by other handicappers who have already got their picks out, and it's like 80-20 in favor of Penn State, and in favor of Penn State pretty handily. And I just, Notre Dame has the second highest win point differential in the NCAA at 24.1. The other team better, Ohio State, 24.3. So I don't know if Notre Dame is exactly getting the respect they should be in this game. I'm a Notre Dame fan, so I'm not going to pick a side in this one. If I had to, I would go on the under.
Another low total at 45. Like I said, they're so evenly matched. They both do the same things. They both do the exact same things. Yet I think Notre Dame's secondary could be the difference in this game. Notre Dame have one of the top secondaries in college football. They're going to basically eliminate all the wide receivers, point blank. Both teams, no one's scared of either wide receivers on either team, right? It might be part quarterback, part this, part that, but Notre Dame play like a ton of man-to-man coverage, and they're like one of the best at it. They got NFL talent in their secondary. So I think, Loud, they're sort of one team that can slow Warren down. I'm not going to say stop them, and let's look also, too, not to take anything away from Penn State, but you played SMU and you played Boise State. You know what I mean? This is a step up in class in a big way here for real. Those other teams made a lot of mistakes. Super fun game. I'm leaning Notre Dame as well, but man, like I said, they're completely evenly matched. All right, Lau, we got about a minute and a half here. Indoor soccer picks. I know you've been laying it down and winning on this stuff. We got some primetime games later in the week on TV. Who catches your eye this week?
Not being a homer, but I really like the Strikers plus 2.5. They play Friday night at the KC Comets. And then the biggest line of the week, the Ambush are playing the Savage. The Savage in their last game came out and beat the Tacoma Stars 21-8, which is like 22-6 in
it's
NFL
a lot of goals.
Football. I mean,
that is
ridiculous. And that's why I think a lot of people are prisoner of the moment, and that's why a 6.5 point spread seems reasonable. That's a lot of points in an AMSL game. So I would be on the Ambush at plus 6.5. You can catch 2 games this weekend on the Galazzo Network if you want to catch some MASL action. I know there's a lot more to watch. I'll talk about the MSL as other stuff dies down and there's more room to talk about it. But that's where I'm at on the MSL this weekend, and you can catch my stuff at hitthepick.com, hitthepick.com.
Hitthepick.com. Loud Esmond. Great stuff, Loud. Happy New Year. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight.
We're going to get you to a game, Gabe. We're going to get you to a game in Tacoma.
I'm going to get out there. The UFC is going to Seattle as well, February 21st, I believe it is, or 22nd. So there's a lot of activity out there in Seattle, Tacoma. Let's roll.
he will never repeat this year again as he gets older. It's not happening. That's not the way the world works. In the NFL, when you get older, your numbers dive. That's all there is to it.
Why did you play him for as long as you played him against Dallas if you weren't going to play him this week to break the record? I mean, you left him in that Dallas game forever.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I know people are getting after Cole Anthony. Folks, it was a bang-bang play. You know, you got to give Cole Anthony props for diving with a loose ball. Yeah, was it a little bit, reckless? Maybe. But at the end of the day, for people to go after Cole Anthony and think this is a dirty play, you don't know ball.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this, I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text, put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. 2-0 for the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Second period has just begun at the Shark Tank. And at the Pauley Pavilion right now, we talked about the UCLA Bruins storming back on Michigan. They're going back and forth now, 60-59 for Michigan, who had a double-digit lead for most of the first half. UCLA have outscored them 22-13 now in the second half, so it's 60-59. Michigan with about 11 and a half minutes left in this basketball game. A good Big Ten game going on here right now. Boise State are messing up UNLV now, 43-24. They're laying 19 and a half in game. St. Mary's up 19-11 on Loyola Marymount in the Bay Area. Speaking of the Bay wins the first ever TGL golf match tonight. They smashed the New York Golf Club this evening. Tiger Woods will be playing next weekend. I'll give them credit. It was pretty smart of them to do this. Because if they start the TGL stuff and they put Tiger Woods on TV first, people are going to roll their eyes. They're going to go, oh, no, it's Tiger Woods and whatever, he's done. And, it's you know. So, no. Showcase some other players and let people, and also now they have a sort of a week to build it up for real. They got out this is like the dress rehearsal, even though it's a real game. Now people, and it was pretty positive response online. I liked it. And people online really seemed to enjoy it as well. It'll only get better. It was only the first event. It only took an hour and 36 minutes, too. So it was pretty fast. People, don't mind. The whole point was 2 hours made for TV. And you can bet on it every Tuesday night, 6 regular season weeks. And then you got your 2 playoff weeks after that. And sort of like Monday Night Football or whatever. Different teams are going to play once a week on national television, on ESPN, and on Sportsnet. So a lot of stuff going on in the sports world. Less than 48 hours right now for the college football playoff. Let's bring in my boy, Mo Khan, in the house right now. Mo, here we are, down to the Final Four. And, it's always the same with college football playoffs. People bitch about this team and that team, and they want a million teams in. And in the end, it's always the big name brand teams. Right? Look at last year. Michigan, Alabama, Texas, Washington. All right, replace Michigan with Ohio State. Texas are back again. And, you got Penn State in here. But remember what we talked about. The college football playoffs were basically expanded for teams like Penn State and Ole Miss. James Franklin took advantage of it, Mo, Lane Kiffin could not this year, and now he's playing in the national semifinals.
Gents, college football is all about brand, right? It's about branding the sport. And you saw in this 12 playoff edition that we had, aside from SMU, everyone was a brand. And I think you look at this Final Four, it's going to be compelling to watch on Thursday and Friday what plays out. You think about Ohio State, they played more at AT&T than the University of Texas has done so the last 6 years. And that's going to be a fascinating matchup to watch how that plays out. And now you look at it this way, the consensus from what I've been reading up on and watching on TV, people are leaning towards Notre Dame to beat Penn State to get into the national title game in about 10, 12 days from now. But both games are going to be fun to watch, guys. I think both games have the potential to be shootouts, especially Ohio State, Texas, given how they're built up on offense on both sides there. So I can't wait to see that game play out. And most importantly, though, for Ryan Day and for James Franklin, a chance to maybe cement themselves and saying, look, your jobs be safe. And there won't be that question marks, but what if can you do, or what can you not do if you don't win the big game on Thursday or Friday?
The two bigger jerks out of the four coaches. If you think about it, like, let's just be real. Like James Franklin's a jerk. He's always been a jerk. He's a jerk to the media. He's a jerk to everybody. He runs the score up on teams if he can. He runs fake punts up 50. He's just an a-hole. He is. No one likes him in the coaching community. Remember him and Harbaugh basically like barely shook hands, right? He's one of those just sort of, I'm not saying his players don't like him, but he's not a very likable guy. Ryan Day is not a likable guy. I guess, I don't know, I'm a Michigan fan, but whatever. You know, like Harbaugh said, this guy was born on third base and he thought he hit a triple. So you got Day, and then conversely, Sarkisian is a very likable guy, I find, and Freeman is the most likable. He's the most likable of them all. You don't like Sarkisian?
No, I'll tell you a funny story. You go to Regina in Saskatchewan, they despise Sarkisian because he crapped on the CFL, saying it's a terrible brand of football. Never like this time when he played in Sask. You go to Regina, they hate him.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, I got to say, I'm going to be on Sark's side. Quite frankly, who gives an F what people in Regina hate? Yeah. Like, I'm just saying, I mean, we were Rough Rider fans. Good for you. Good for you. They probably don't like Vince Young either. But the same thing. Put it this, I don't know, there's been reports that NFL teams like Sarkisian, which I don't really get, but but Freeman's the most likable one of them all, actually. Like, you know what I mean? Go back to that video when he was announced as the coach, you saw how happy the Notre Dame players were. So I was just saying, Mo, they're completely evenly matched as they possibly can be, Notre Dame and Penn State. They're very similar football teams, like in all dynamics. They don't have stud wide receivers. They both have great defenses. Their quarterbacks make plays in different ways. But to me, I just sort of think that Penn State's defense can get to Aller and cause some more stress. Meanwhile, Riley Leonard doesn't really do anything fancy. They get rid of the ball quickly. He runs around for 4 or 5 yards. And I think that Notre Dame's secondary can contain Warren more than Boise and SMU could, in my opinion. But this is razor thin, bro. So I'm going to say Notre Dame, but razor thin, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you, Gabe. I heard you last night on my way home from work, and the same thing. When you look at Notre Dame, their defense is almost SEC-type speed now and size, right? They can match up with the best of them. And if they can contain the running game and make Aller a one-dimensional player, that really plays into their hands. And, you talk about Riley Leonard and what he is. Look, he's not Cam Ward. He's not going to throw for 8 touchdowns. But if he manages the game well enough and gets about 20, 25 points, that should be enough for Notre Dame to win that football game against Penn State. But again, that Lions defense, underrated. They got speed off the edges, guys. And if they can win those one-on-one battles here and get to the quarterback, that could be the X factor of why James Franklin could be saying bleep you to everyone else as he may be playing for the CFB in 10 days.
Though, Jennings gave the ball away a million times for SMU.
Good.
Boise State, their quarterback, really couldn't make the throws. He was missing guys. He turned the football over. There were a lot of gifts. Genty fumbling. But you got to give credit to Penn State for causing this stuff to happen as well. I don't think it's just all a coincidence. But This is a step up. Notre Dame don't make a lot of mistakes. Like, Riley Leonard doesn't really throw the football enough to get picked off 3 times. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to throw it that much. And when he does, it's very controlled. So, over under 45. Everyone thinks this game's going to be a rock fight. Or you think this is a smash-mouth, low-scoring game?
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll be below 45. I think it's going to be one of those games, guys, where you might see a 23-8, 23-17 style matchup here. And I just think at that point, what it'll come down to, which is which defense can create turnovers, right? Does one of these coaches have a trick in their bag here that they're going to pull out to maybe turn momentum in their favor? And you think about Marcus Freeman, what he did against UGA.
Did you hear me say that last night, Mo? That was one of the X factors to me.
I might have heard that.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying, though. But between the two of them, Freeman, I think, has it more in him to say, you know what, let's run a fake punt in the first quarter. Like, let's you know what I mean? Let's run a trick play. Let's try to steal a possession here. I think Franklin will just like play it closer by the book. I think Freeman has a roll of the dice in him.
He definitely does. And I just think that what it'll come down to is it could be that one play that can swing momentum for one of these teams in that second half. And if it does, that's what we're going to look back and say that was the defining moment for whoever wins that football game to head over to the Natty in 10 days.
All right, on the other side, we'll take a look at Ohio State and Texas and the NFL playoffs and more. Listen, on paper, you can almost say, like, wow, this is going to be a tough task for the Texas Longhorns. But you got to play the game.
He will never repeat this year again as he gets older. It's not happening. That's not the way the world works. In the NFL, when you get older, your numbers dive. That's all there is to it.
Why did you play him for as long as you played him against Dallas if you weren't going to play him this week to break the record? I mean, you left him in that Dallas game forever.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I know people are getting after Cole Anthony. Folks, it was a bang-bang play. You know, you got to give Cole Anthony props for diving with a loose ball. Yeah, was it a little bit, like, reckless? Maybe. But at the end of the day, for people to go after Cole Anthony and think this is a dirty play, you don't know ball.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this, I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text, put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh, yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, like it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. The Michigan Wolverines are up 65-62. Under 9 minutes remaining at Pauley Pavilion right now. I'm sure Cam has his eye on the Vegas Golden Knights and the Sharks. This game had 2 early goals. Vegas scored quickly twice. Nothing has happened since. In-game total is at 5.5 right now. And
is my San Jose plus 3.5 safe?
They're plus 2.5, plus 140 right now.
I know.
So
I got 3.5. Yeah, when they went 2-0, they popped to 3.5 up, and I bit. Like, I had to bite on my book. So we'll see. We'll see.
The Flames are up 2-1 on the Anaheim Ducks right now. All right, so Texas, we got Mo Khan and Cam Stewart in the house. We got Texas and Ohio State on Friday. Listen, we've seen what Ohio State have done over the last couple of games. They absolutely mauled the Tennessee Volunteers, albeit in frigid conditions, on their home field. I'm not going to take anything away from beating the Oregon Ducks in the Rose Bowl. Great performance. But this is, the Ducks aren't very good in big games. They've never won a big game. They always choke, and they choked. The Texas Longhorns were in the playoffs last year, Mo. So Quinn Ewers has played in big games. He won't be rattled. That's what I'm trying to get at, right? They played against, they played the Georgias, the Bamas over the years. They were in the semifinal last year, lost to the Washington Huskies, 35-27 or 35-28, whatever. So they have big game experience. I don't make much and care for the fact that it's in Texas. I don't think that matters. Like people, it's like a home. It's not like a home game. It's not. You know what I mean? It's not. It's on an NFL football field, whatever. There'll be a ton of Buckeye fans there. And, really on paper, if you look at it, guys, like matchup by matchup, Texas are in tough. All right, like they're going to need to cause havoc somehow. They're going to need Ohio State to be off a little bit. But I will say this is the Tennessee Volunteers, good defense, but not like Texas. The Ducks don't have a defense like Texas, Mo. We know that the Longhorns are good up front on the D-line. They have an elite secondary as well. Yeah. If they're going to win this football game, bro, they're going to have to win it on their defense. Like, they're going to have to slow Ohio State down and keep Ohio State in the 20s, and they can win the game. If it turns into a track meet, they're not going to be able to keep up with Ohio State.
No. And if you remember when Sark got the job at Texas, his priority number one was to make that defense into SEC level from a size perspective, speed perspective, and depth perspective. He's achieved that in his 2-3 years now at Austin. And you look at that front four for Texas. If they can get that push up the field here and make Howard a little bit more one-dimensional and make him cement feet, it really helps out Texas because you said it before, Gabe, off air, that Longhorn secondary, that corridor, they can lock down the best of them. And that's why that front to back has to work hand in hand here. If it does work in unison, it gives the Longhorns a chance to win that football game because, again, Ohio State, $20 million can buy you a lot of goods here, guys. They got a lot of speed. They got a lot of 5-star dudes on that team for the Buckeyes. If they can contain them, that gives them a chance in the fourth quarter for a knockout blow to win that matchup in the final 6-7 minutes of that game on Friday night.
You know what?
A lot of wishful thinking.
I was going to wait for your line, Gabe, of ifs and bets or candies and nuts. We'd all have a Merry Christmas. But you know what? Gabe and I, and we talked about this one, Mo. Very surprising. So I think Texas took a lot of chances not showing some packages with Manning because they did it all year. They put Arch Manning in there for a couple of things, and Arizona State came back in that game, and then it got real. So I got to believe this time it doesn't matter. You got to throw the kitchen sink at Ohio State. This is totally different than playing Arizona State, who played well with Cam Scatterbo. But do you think they're going to do that? Because let's call it out for what it is. Ewers looked a little bit banged up, and on that run, he was a little bit slower. You know what I mean? He's still coming off that injury. So they have to have something. I think Sark has some things up his sleeve that he didn't show against the Sun Devils. I'm going to get your thoughts on that because it surprised me. They usually had packages for Manning.
Yeah, Cam, you think about Quinn Ewers' numbers in the first, 3-4 weeks of the season. They're almost like Madden-like numbers, right? Like, they were pretty good. And he got
San Jose Sharks just scored. Just to throw it in there.
One for the SJ Sharky. There we go.
They just scored on the power play. 2-1, 10 minutes left. Sorry, I had to get that.
I'll take anything, Gabe. Any Sharks.
Hey,
sorry.
The Sharks are a fun team to watch, my friend. Win or lose, no matter what.
Thank you.
But you know what, Ewers, when you look at his numbers,
you don't have to tell Cam. He loves the Sharks. He's aware.
It's all about SJ Sharks, that's for sure. But Cam, you look at Ewers' numbers, right, before his injury back in late September, whenever it was fantastic, right? But afterwards, he's been more of a game manager and has been kind of been one-dimensional. And so you're right about Arch Manning. We didn't see anything from him against ASU, but the thing is, in this context, right, where do you bring him in? Do you bring him in if the game is close? Do you bring him in if you're up by 7? Do you bring him in to close out a game? Like, it all depends on how Sark
like those goal line packages. They used to run them a little bit more, right? With Ewers being
no, not the goal line, but I'm thinking more sort of like Michigan did it Michigan did it last year with Orgy, right? Even like in the first quarter, late in the first quarter, they were like, put him in for a drive, right? And it doesn't, you know what I mean? It had nothing bad against McCarthy, but they basically told him, we want to mix it up and give him different looks and confuse them a bit on this. So, you know, give Manning a drive and even let him throw the ball, quick hits and stuff, have a couple of packages. But I'm telling you right now, guys, in my opinion, I wouldn't be surprised if Manning doesn't see the field. Right. They're not going to play around. I really doubt they're not going to come up. They're not going to start inventing things now. Like, you know what I mean? They're going to say, no, it is what it is. This is our team. We're going with Quinn. You're like, what do you think, Mo? I don't think Manning will get on the field, to be honest. I don't think they'll take any chances.
Yeah, this is what we see Spurrier with Doug Johnson and Jesse Palmer, right? Rotating after each play on a drive here. That's not going to happen. But I agree with you, Gabe, on this point, though, that if they didn't bring out Arch Manning, it just kind of calms down the questions about, Arch's team, is this his team now? Because we know about Ewers. He probably won't be UT's quarterback next September. He might transfer, might go in the NFL draft. We'll find out in the next week or so here. But they have to make sure, and Sark's done a really good job to maintain the egos or the moving parts at Austin to keep these guys in check and all buy into what he wants to do with this Longhorn program.
It's funny, even Ewers jokes about it in the Dr. Pepper. I don't need any backup. I told you. It's funny, like it's open about it. Yeah, he's open and like, got a call for backup. He's like, I told you, I don't need any backups.
He will never repeat this year again as he gets older. It's not happening. That's not the way the world works. In the NFL, when you get older, your numbers dive. That's all there is to it.
Why did you play him for as long as you played him against Dallas if you weren't going to play him this week to break the record? I mean, you left him in that Dallas game forever.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I know people are getting after Cole Anthony. Folks, it was a bang-bang play. You know, you got to give Cole Anthony props for diving on a loose ball. Yeah, was it a little bit, like, reckless? Maybe. But at the end of the day, for people to go after Cole Anthony and think this is a dirty play, you don't know ball.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this, I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text, put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, like it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. The Pips, the players, the hustlers, the people who bust them, and everybody else in between. All right, we got a couple of minutes with Mo Cod. My Michigan Wolverines. It's been an up-and-down game, but they're starting to pull away again. They're up 76-66 with 6 minutes left. In-game total all the way up to 172.5. Wow. I've never really clicked it. I got the over, and I got Michigan. I've always been scared of the high number, but it keeps on climbing. All right, quickly on this, Mo, and then we'll get your NFL picks. Raider situation. A lot of talk in Raiderland right now. as always. So, a lot of talk in Raiderland right now. I'm not surprised. You remember, you and I talked about it. I've always believed, and I've been saying this for months, that I thought Pierce would get fired and Vrabel would be the new coach. A lot of people think Vrabel's going to New England. And it's interesting to me that Brady and Kraft might be after the same guy now, actually, to coach a football team. The Drake May part is very attractive. Agreed. We had a guest on earlier, Rick Saratella from the NFL Draft Bible. His hot take was Aaron Rodgers will be the quarterback. I said, who's the quarterback of the Raiders next year? He said Aaron Rodgers. I say Daniel Jones will be the reclamation project. Whatever. Will it work? I'm not saying it's going to work, but I'm saying that's what they're going to do. So Jones signs like a 2-year deal with the Raiders. Maybe they get another quarterback, him and O'Connell, whatever. But that's my hot take, that Daniel Jones is the quarterback. What do you think? What's your future ball, 8-ball, a crystal ball prediction, Mo, for the Raiders, coaching quarterback next year?
Yeah, Vrabel is the guy, but reading the Vegas papers just now, they're saying Pete Carroll, Liam Cohen from Tampa, the OC, who's done wonders at the college ranks, and of course now with Tampa.
Pete Carroll's going to interview with the Bears too, coming up. Word is too.
Yeah.
He wants back in, Pete.
3 names. Yeah, and they're saying those are the 3 names, right? But I think the Raiders have to get a name in this division, guys. Think about Peyton, Reed, Harbaugh. They need to
I
get
can see Pete Carroll as the Raider coach. He'll be clapping on the side.
Nah. Too friendly. It's not going to work, Gabe. Not with Pete. No.
Listen, Tom Brady's the one that's going to. But put it this way, and I'll throw it to you on this, Mo. But Joe Brady or Ben Johnson, they're not going to want the Raider job, right? Like everybody, word's already out. Yeah. Drake May is a hot property. Coaches are interested. Ben Johnson hasn't want to coach anybody, but even though it's a division rival, word is he likes Caleb Williams and the potential of coaching Caleb Williams and the Bears. The Raiders are different. We don't know where their freaking QB is. You're drafting 6. Is there any shot Cam Ward is still there at 6, Mo?
I don't think so. I think Cam goes in the top 3. I don't think he gets past Cleveland. Right today, I don't think Cam Ward gets past Cleveland or the Giants at minimum. Right? I just think that right now.
I would agree with you there. Yeah.
Yeah, because right now we're still in the early process stage of
so
what's
what,
going to be available.
Kirk Cousins?
That's the thing, right? I mean, if you're
Sam Darnold.
Well, it could be Sam Darnold.
Cam, the options aren't pretty. I would rather go with Daniel Jones on a 2-year deal.
I kind of agree with you, Gabe. When you
That's
want to talk about what you're getting, yes,
I'm just being realistic.
Right.
If you're the Raiders,
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
But if they're going to do that, they'll keep O'Connell as a quarterback because they'll say he can bridge us to our next quarterback, whether it's in this
they'll
draft
compete for the job. Yeah. You tell Jones whoever's the better man in camp.
But Mark Davis, guys, think about this though, right? He's still paying Josh McDaniels. He's still paying Gruden. He's going to pay Antonio Pierce. He's paying $40 million for 3 coaches to chill out at home next year.
Unreal.
So really, does he have that type of rich?
What does he just pay a quarterback
on a Ben Johnson or Mike Vrabel? They're going to command who knows how much, like $15, $16 million per person. So we'll find out.
Yeah. We're going to see what kind of influence Brady has. All right, we've got a minute left here, Mo. Any hot NFL playoff predictions? Any upsets, or who do you like this weekend?
Houston's 5-2 in the 4:30 Saturday slot that they've now occupied during their time as a team in the NFL. Chargers are the only road team I think that will win on the weekend. Every home team will win, I think, and I'll go 7-1 or whatever games we have this weekend. Chargers my road team to win this weekend.
So you like the Rams to beat the Vikings on Monday night?
Yeah. The cross-country travel, Rams play the Vikings in L.A., and the Vikings did not play well. And I just think right now the Vikings, mentally speaking here, where do they stand? Ram team, they're dangerous guys, and that front 7 can get to Sam Darnold with ease.
I'll tell you what, Sam Darnold, that's another quarterback situation to keep your eye on. The way he imploded in that game, he's got his career almost on the line now on Monday. Fair or unfair. You know what I mean? If he implodes again and he's really, really bad, the Vikings are just going to say, F this, man. J.J. McCarthy's our quarterback next year. Right? He plays well. He advances in the playoffs. He gives people something to think about. Other than that, you're on your own. Later.